Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast. We're hoping that you are doing wonderful. Kelvin, you doing wonderful?
I'm doing excellent, as a matter of fact. And, I don't really have anything to add to that today. I'm just doing wonderful.
Great.
How about you?
We're doing good here. It's been an interesting week. It'll be Monday when y'all hear this, but we're recording on Friday, and the Hurricane Dorian came tearing through here Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, and we did the no thing. We ignored a mandatory evacuation order, but we came through just fine. Most of our streets stayed, so we knew we had resources and people around us if things went wonky, but we didn't even lose power. So,
plus a party.
Yeah, there was some hurricane parties going on the street, and a couple of. I got about a third of a yard waste bag to fill with the branches and stuff that came down. So not too bad.
Well, that's not bad.
No.
Well, congratulations on weathering that storm.
I know that there are some people who did not come through this so well, particularly in the Bahamas, and we'll try to I'll try to find a good link for some good charities to donate to relief where that was a lot worse than here. If you head to the show notes for this one. But yeah, life is good here, and here we are.
It is
170 episodes in. Holy cow!
Yeah. Amazing that I could do that much editing in time.
That also means that you've been putting up with me for over 3 years.
Well, there is that. But I have a question for you, man.
Yes, sir.
Have you had your fire and kettle bone broth today?
I have it sitting in my pantry waiting for this afternoon when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
It's I got some beef bone broth sitting in there. And you know what? You can get some of that too. Yeah, actually, my favorite so far has been the turmeric ginger chicken bone broth. But I was looking at their website because it's coming on fall, particularly where you are.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming to visit your area next weekend, and the weather is cold overnight.
I've heard stories. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Which means it's soup time, and they got some good soups lined up. It looks like for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
They got some mushroom bisque, and they got some Thai curry soup. And some of those soups are going to be good for your keto diet if you're doing that. And the bone broth will help you with your intermittent fasting diet. And otherwise, it's just good for you. The reason that chicken soup is called Jewish penicillin is because when you make real chicken soup, you boil the whole chicken in there, which means that you're getting the collagen and everything from the bones into the broth, and just makes everything a little better for you. And they slow simmer that stuff 10 to 20 hours. And,
wow!
And they do that for you. So you can go to kettleandfire.com, use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off. That's kettleandfire.com. Fill up your box. Use code BetterHumanhood at checkout for 10% off.
That sounds like a plan. I better play some music.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
Glad you're weathering storms and stuff. So, what are we going to talk about today, Mr. Shear?
Well, I think you had you sent me. What are your metaphors that run your life?
I did.
So you're going to have to expound on this because
I'm going to have to expound on that. Well, metaphors. What is that? That's kind of the framework we put everything into, right? So if I were to come up and ask you a question, and I would say, Josh, how do you define life? How you feel about life? And you say, life is, well, pretty much whatever you say after is kind of determines how you look at life. Some people I know say, life's a bowl of cherries. What's that mean? Oh, that means life's kind of cool. It's kind of desserty. You have a good time. And
I was going to say, are they tart cherries or are they sweet cherries?
I was going to say, presuming you like cherries.
I mean, so you have to swallow the stone.
But if you like it, well, of course, if you got allergies, that might not be a good thing. But however you perceive that is kind of how you deal with life. If life is a contest, for instance, and the best man wins or the toughest guy or whatever, then however you think about that, that's how you deal with life. If you think that life is a constant battle, you're always going to be defending and stuff like that. So sometimes it's good to just take a look at how you answer that question and how you view life, because that kind of creates a framework around how you do things and how you feel about things and how things affect you.
This is an interesting question to me. And the reason it's an interesting question to me is because it's not an age-old question. It's a new question. Because what life used to be not that long ago was try to live long enough to pass your genes on and then don't get eaten by a tiger.
Not that long.
It wasn't all that.
How long ago were we talking for that one there, buddy?
Not long
actually,
at all.
Some places of the world, you still got to worry about that tiger thing.
Yeah, but and it wasn't always a tiger, but I mean, even the last 150 years. I mean, we don't. The Industrial Revolution. We're talking less than 200 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the planet didn't have running water in their homes like 3 generations ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's like insane. We've talked about this. Just gaining some perspective on how fast we keep doing stuff and how our brains aren't quite evolving. But the question of, what are your metaphors for life? What is the meaning of life? That kind of stuff. Like those are luxury. I don't have to worry about day-to-day survival questions.
Right. So there's a lot of different answers to that question. But in the same stroke, depending on how you define that, I mean, there's people who live in, high crime areas or high task areas, and those quote unquote I'm not even going to use that term. Let's go for third world countries. I'm not going to use it. Their concerns are different, but over here, when we're supposed to be able to go for the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, I mean, how we view that question takes on a lot. I mean, I know people who have really they're hell bent on making money, and however, I mean, a lot of money. They want to be like the richest and stuff like that. And some of those things can create a lot of stress. Producing money which probably goes back to some of the drive on why you're making the money, right? Because sometimes we do things compulsively. It's not just like, oh, I just want to have enough to like have a nice car and go on a couple of vacations, stuff like that. And there's other people who like, have to like master Wall Street and stuff like that, or they're not.
Right. I mean, for some people, competition is fun, and the art of making a buck. Mm-hmm. Particularly if it's in selling something or something like that. Like, mm-hmm. The having a number in the bank isn't the goal. Just adding to it is the goal, because that's the fun stuff for some people.
Oh yeah. Now I admit, money does have a place in my life.
Well, it does for all of us, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about money a little bit. Was it last week with our, when we were talking about myths?
Yes.
Like money has value because we believe it does, and because the barter economy is not a way to. Like, if all I have to offer is goats, I need to find somebody who can do the things I need, who also needs goats.
Right.
But if I've got money, then they can go buy something from whoever else believes that money is valuable.
Valuable, yeah.
Right. So yeah, money plays a role for all of us, but there's actually a happiness number tied to money. And I think it's something, on the average around $70,000 a year.
Oh.
Once your bills are taken care of, mm-hmm. additional money does not make you significantly happier.
In general.
Yeah. Like people people who study happiness.
Yeah.
What they find is that if you're struggling to pay your bills, more money makes you happier because it alleviates those bills. But once your bills are all taken care of, whatever that number is for you, mm-hmm. If $70,000 a year pays all your bills, gets your house paid off, your car's paid off, you don't have to worry about your electricity, you don't have to worry about your groceries, you're not waiting until next month, and then $70,000 is your happiness number, right? At $100,000 a year, you're there's no change. At a couple $100,000 a year, you might be incrementally happier because now you can do stuff. Like now you can travel. And now buying a first class ticket somewhere is not a big deal. You get a little extra, but that's only incremental happiness because most people, want to do that occasionally. Like it's not I just got back from XYZ. I got to go someplace else. I mean, certainly there are plenty of people who like to do that, but that is not the majority of the world.
Oh no. I mean, if you're doing the world by the numbers,
right?
I'd say definitely it's not. But people have we've grown up with things. We've determined what's important, and we learn those values from somebody else. I mean, if you're an athlete, happiness is winning, maybe, and there could be a lot to go with that. So, I mean, the metaphor example, it's not as simple as it seems on the surface, because if life is winning, but what does that really mean to you?
Right.
So
now you got to define winning.
And how important is it really, and stuff like that. So it covers a lot of things. There are some people who will perform great sacrifice to make their metaphor work in their life, or their, other people who might be doing, a lot of other things in order to make that metaphor work. So, but if you sit back and think about just exactly what is my metaphor, you get to understand what else is behind that. And you might be wondering what my metaphor is.
You can see me dying to ask.
Yeah, right. And I would love to tell you that I have a single one, but it changes from time to time.
Sure.
I can tell what I say, how I'm feeling. Like there was a time, and a lot of time, I'm like, my life is perfect. Now, perfect means something a whole lot different to me, probably, than it does to you. But at the time, when I was saying that, and to be perfectly honest with you, it started out as just an affirmation to give me a good attitude when I woke up in the morning. But as time moved forward, what happened was things just happened to be right. Things happened to make me happy. Things happened the way I had planned them to happen. I was probably one of the happiest guys on the planet. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that I'm not presently. I'm pretty wired most of the time, but my expectation was that things were just going to go right. And the energy that I maintain with that means that things just went right. And when things didn't go right, whatever that meant in the moment, I wasn't really worried about it because I knew that we were going to work that out. Things are going to start happening. We were going to be able to negotiate whatever that was. I was going to be able to have a conversation with whoever that was. I was going to be able to work around whatever that was, so that my life was perfect. Whatever I do works. And that was a lovely time in my life. And we're going to get back to that. We're not I've got another one right now. So my metaphor right now is I'm on my way back quick. That's it. So so
life is a bounce back?
Life is freaking awesome. I would tell you what, so far I haven't been willing to trade it for any other option. That whole living thing, it's been good for me.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
So, and I maintain that attitude, and that kind of, again, it colors everything that I do. So I like that metaphorical look, but I don't know. Have you ever examined what your life metaphor might be, or do you think you have one?
Well, I mean, right now, I like life as variety because, as you know, my brain likes to pick and choose what it does, and it picks and chooses a lot of different types of stuff. You see in the books I read, and the music I listen to, and the podcasts I listen to, and the people I talk to, that it looks like I'm all over the place, but it's all stuff I enjoy or I want to learn more about. Well,
let me just go on record as saying you're all over the place. I've tried to track you, man, and it's like, wow, how did you come up with that? But yeah, but you do have great variety. I look at we look at the things that you study, the books that you come up with, and I'm going like, what in the world made you read that? Because it doesn't have a connection in my brain to the last thing that you read that made me go, why did you read that?
Well, and often that lack of connection is like the reason. Because even when I read novels, I go through times in my life when I'll only read, nonfiction for 6 or 8 months,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll read in that 6 or 8 months. I'll read 50 books, and I'll just burn out, and I'll need to veg out with some fiction for a while. And meanwhile, when I do that, I can't read books by the same author back to back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even if I really enjoy that author,
Uh-huh.
I read one book. I have no interest in the second book.
Wow.
I can read somebody else in between
Mm-hmm.
and make that author I like every other book, and that's fine. But yeah, I don't know what that is, but I mean, we crave novelty. As a species, but I seem to have gotten the
go
make that guy like different stuff all the time.
You got the go gene, buddy.
Well, and it's funny because it's really just with input, because I can eat the same meals over and over
Mm-hmm.
and not feel like I need something else.
Okay. So it's just information.
So yeah, it seems to be largely input.
Interesting. I guess I don't have a problem reading the same author, the same subject. I don't read much fiction, which I should, because I do remember a time in my life I used to read. There was a series called, I forget what it was called, but it was one of those undercover spy karate guy saved the world for the government, but the government can't tell you about yourself. Oh, Remo Williams, that was his name.
Yeah.
That was a movie on that. Yeah.
I remember that movie.
But there was a book series called The Destroyer, right? There was like 51 issues that I know of in that series. It was a paperback series. And for a time I was reading those because that just really fascinated me. But otherwise, once I got on the self-improvement kick and how to make myself feel better and how to make my mind work and do what I needed to do, I got stuck on that bent. Sometimes it's just like while you're reading that heavy duty, you need to go break to a commercial and do something else.
Right.
To give it a chance to settle in.
I can do same subject back to back to back to back as long as I'm reading different authors.
Is that because of viewpoints? Is that because of...
It might be, or it might be because of voice. I might just feel like I'm being lectured to after a while.
And I know how much you love being lectured to. I got it. That's how that works. All right. Well, yeah. So that's kind of it. The metaphor is the thing, I think. And even if we don't realize we have one, we
probably do. And this harkens back a little bit to our recent episode on mindset, right?
Oh yeah.
It just
everything harkens back to mindset. Right?
That's true. It does,
because mindset is that set of rules that govern your life. And what the metaphor does for you is kind of groups them together. It kind of groups those rules together because these are the rules that make up this, what needs to happen here. That's an opinion piece. And so I like that. So I may have to, sometimes life can be just changed by just changing the way you look at things. Because speaking of one of the guys who just spoke to me when he was speaking to me, Wayne Dyer, in one of his books, one of his phrases that just did something for me was, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And I found that to be a very, very... I had to go back. I had to do some research in my head on that. Change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. Different things become important. Different things come into focus. So that was That was awesome. So,
but I've been getting emails about new books that are coming out, and Wayne Dyer has a new book out.
That's good. That's
now
cool.
I was going to surprise you and be like, hey, guess who I invited to be on the podcast? But then I found out that Dr. Dyer passed a few years ago.
Yeah, couple. So I'm saying good book. Hopefully it was something he was working on before he passed away. But if it's not, could be a really good book. Yeah, but he became one of my gurus. I just loved the way he looked at things. And he also did a lot for me. He was associated very heavily with Hay House, and which Hay House is, I mean, there's a spiritual side, which is not to be confused with religion, and stuff. But they have a lot of good stuff for self-introspection and stuff. But I really enjoyed the stuff that he had too. So take a look at Hay House for some great titles sometime, and more stuff by Wayne Dyer. And I've got a couple things from him, which I probably wouldn't mind going back through, because he really did speak to me, and he was well loved around the world by, I won't say most people, by a lot of people. That's kind of how that is, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The people who resonate with you are the people you resonate with. So I resonated with him. So hold it. Correction. Resonated. I'm good at words. You see some of my vitamin K stuff lately. Oh man. Doing that sleepy thing, and every once in a while a misspelled word will hook. And I've got a group who like to catch my misspellings. Punch them out. But if you can get past that, some really good stuff in there.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
So I think we're,
metaphorically speaking.
Well, you don't want to know what I think metaphorically speaking, because we might go places. But
the places we could go.
But yeah, no, it's true. Places you'll go. So yeah, I think that it's a good reminder to keep perspective. And check in with yourself, see what life is for you right now. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like your answer, find a way to make it change.
There you go. Because it will answer the question. It creates new questions. But that's the point.
Well, when we're done asking questions, we might as well just give it up, right?
That's what I think. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you to Kettle and Fire, kettleandfire.com. Use code BetterHumanHood at checkout for 10% off, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye. A Better Humanhood production.